I thank you guys for joining us for Committee on Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism for the 1 o'clock briefing. Like you said, thank you guys for joining us. I know we have a lot to be educated on and what you folks are doing. So I will leave this for Georgia to start off, as well as DBED Director. Appreciate you guys being here and giving us more insights into film industry.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the invitation. And aloha to you and members of the committee and those watching. Georgia Skinner, Head of Creative Industries. And I'd like to have my wonderful director, James Tokioka, to share a few words about why this industry sector is important. And we'll go through the slides as he's talking because we do have lots to go through.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Chair, for allowing us to be here and allowing us the time to share with you what's happening at the Film Office and at DBED, and with all of the support from our team who is here. Since this is an info briefing, you want to introduce your team?
Yes, I'd love to. So I'd like you all to introduce yourselves. Let's start with our branch chiefs. Go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Rick Benoyan, Branch Chief for the Arctic.
Sandy Abe.
I'm Sandy Chimura Abe, and I am the temporary branch chief at the Film Office.
Great. David.
Everybody, I'm David Okai. I'm the accountant with CAB. We handle the research tax credits as well as the production tax credits.
And David H.
Hello, I'm David Harper. I report to Rick, and I help in the economic development with creative industries.
Brett Holiday.
Brett Holiday, Program Development Specialist for Creative on the Tax Credit.
Savannah.
Hi, I'm Savannah, Economic Development Specialist. I do all the film credits.
Hello, Carpo. My name is Thomas Jock. I am a program specialist, and I report to Rick from the branch.
Hi.
IATSC 665, Irish Barber, the business representative. Sorry, you know.
And your counterpart.
That's most of us here.
Hello, Kako. Today I'm Scanlon, President of IATSC Local 665 and International Trustee.
Right. Alea.
Valea Constantino, Honolulu Film Office.
And then also we have some folks on Zoom, so if we could have them introduce themselves. Kevin, I believe you're there. I can't see the screen where you are, but I know that you're there somewhere, so.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Oh, Marisha,
Okay,
sorry.
It's okay, Marisha, Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA.
I did not mean to do that. Excuse me. Okay, now? Yeah, it's not working that way.
Not yet.
So anyone else on Zoom? I know we have Kevin Holu from the Teamsters, and we also have our representatives from Kauai, our film office, and our economic development head from Kauai.
Is Olani on as well?
No, she wasn't able to join today. Okay,
Well,
so,
thank you all. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
yeah. So let's get started. Jimmy, the slide deck is actually behind you. So this is what we presented, of course, for the budget briefing, but we wanted to give you context of the various areas in DBED that are a focus point for the director and for our deputy director and all of us that have either divisions or attached agencies in the department. We highlighted cultural film and media and music because those are the areas that creative industries follows. Anything? So tracking emerging activities or emerging industries as well as base growth, working with our research and economic analysis division, there are metrics that help guide us in where we can have the most bang for the buck and the investment of the dollars that we have in our general fund.
So let me add to that. In the Ways and Means info brief and the Fin info brief, Dr. Tian talked about emerging industries and how we track that. So a lot of the data that they collect is tracking how tax credits impact certain industries. And certainly the film industry is one of the biggest impacts of a tax credit and how it correlates to jobs, how it correlates to increase in revenues in different sectors, whether it's a catering or the the jobs, the union jobs that are created from the industry. And I can give you perfect examples of when we were on Kauai, when they bought out hotels, when they did Jurassic Park. They bought out entire hotels, and, you know, the hotel was full with people, catering, you know, a lot of the local caterers were extremely happy. All of the people you could see working, and you could see the impact and the revenues that were coming into Kauai for a shoot like Jurassic Park. So Dr. Tian at Reed, the research that he does quantifies why this particular tax credit is important to especially the film office and the men and women in the unions that support the film office or the films that come to Hawaii.
Thanks, well said. And again, this just touches on that overall data that we're looking at. Also, cultivating and growing emerging sectors is a big focus for creative industries, whether it's in music and performing arts or in film and television and new media. So we're going to talk today about creative media and film. These are the three sectors that we highlighted in the budget briefing. And that's for our other team members to comment on, but for us, creative media and film is what we're going to focus on today. So the highlights of our presentation go into not only how the film tax credit works, but also the need for the other elements to build a strong ecosystem, which of course everyone in this building has been working toward as well. So we think it's a shared vision and very important that we work together to build more facilities and infrastructure, making policy decisions that are valuable both to the taxpayer as well as to the new emerging industries that we're building here, and then layering incentives. And do stop me if you have questions as we go through, because
Well, no worries, she will.
okay,
No.
all good. We have a special
Which is so
section for Senator Kim in the workforce development area.
So
Yes, go right ahead.
before you do that, Kim, maybe you want to talk about the importance of an additional studio because of the circumstances
Oh, yes.
of who's using the studio now and how much more time other producers don't get to use a studio if we don't have an additional one.
That is correct. You know, in addition to the limiting factor of the cap on the tax credit, without our infrastructure growing, we are going to remain where we are. We will be hard pressed to grow our workforce, and that's because we have Hawai'i Film Studio, which is 7 acres. It's one production only. We have the 13 acres that we're using in Kalailoa, and that is the Navy facility, which is not ideal, isn't fully air conditioned, as some of us know, but production does bring that in. And right now, because iProductions is producing both NCIS and that's the only show that they're doing here, they actually have, they have the agreement to Kalailoa for Magnum. So those two stages are tied up. That forced Rescue High Surf to go into a empty shopping center, also in Mililani area. So we are hard pressed to build new infrastructure. And we absolutely must start doing that, whether it's to begin with retrofit of existing facilities that we have regionally. We have good examples on neighbor islands, and we do have a map to kind of show you that, which we'll show a little bit later. But it is in your deck that you have. Without this, we're really going to be stuck, and we will have to turn business away.
And to add on to one of the first slides, curriculum to career. So when we were at the WAM site visit on the Big Island, I know you all were talking specifically about career paths for our kids. And we all know that we have a community college system, we have a university system, and we have a great high school system where Chiefs Kamakahele, YNIC writers, they win awards every single year for
Can I add to that? I think it's K through 12. The elementary and middle
Yes.
schools are also top performers. I think
Yes.
Maui has a school that has been winning awards at STN as well. So it's
Awesome.
bigger than
Yeah.
you mentioned.
So
Kindergarten too. Yeah.
We have the teachers.
we have We have so much potential in our schools, K through 12, thank you. But after that, then what? And sometimes, you know, for a lot of us, I went to community college for a year and it wasn't for me. I think Senator knows my attention span is not too long. So I ended up in the legislature.
Okay, well.
We take anybody.
But
Yeah.
but
You can do a reality show right now if you want.
Yeah, it actually is being taped, I'm sure.
But what that tells us is that if we have these students that excel in this area, then we need to do more for them. The other thing we realize is for some colleges, it costs anywhere from $70,000 to $30,000 a year for college. And many parents in the state of Hawaii and the kids who are gonna be making loans cannot afford that. So what do we do about that? We offer programs in the community colleges. And so Deputy Director Wicker has been working with the University of Hawaii systems at UH and the community colleges to set up pathways for these students. But even as I say that, not every kid is going to want to go to the community colleges as well. So what we're doing is we're working with the industry to figure out pathways in the industry, whether it's working on a set, learning how to produce a show, learning how to direct, write, all of those things, because they may not make it through college. And what is important to us is that the community, the parents of these children know, hey, you know, my kid excelled in that, but what are you guys doing? State, what are you guys doing? And your committee, NWAM, was specifically talking to us and helping us understand what is important. And we truly believe that working with the community colleges and the university is certainly one area, but working with the industry is another area where these kids can have hope. And I know that there are success stories from people sitting in this room that can tell us some of the individuals that have gone through working on sets and where they've ended up now. So we know that that's one of the most important jobs of DBED is to provide pathways. And whether it's in technology, whether it's in ADC, in farming, whether it's in film, you know, these are the steps that we're trying to connect so that our kids and our parents in Hawaii have trust and hope that the government, that DBED is trying their best to figure out how we can connect them with those pathways. So thank you for that opportunity.
And that's also, Jimmy, a big part of what the Good Jobs work and Creative Industries, Creative Lab work is about. And we'll show a little bit of that. And thank you for going with that, because there are many success stories. And there are some metrics that say by 2030, the majority of professional jobs are not going to be working for another corporation. They're going to be independent contractors or gig workers. So, you know, we know here from the pandemic that our system for DLIR and unemployment was very challenged during that time. We don't want to see that happen for our kids. So these are just some of the areas currently that we oversee and that we're developing programs with. Specific to what Director was saying, working currently, and Thomas will come up in a little bit and explain more about the actual work that we are doing in these pathways. But you have a suite of services, whether it's DOE and career and technical education. You have a UH West Oahu building, which could be activated much more. Well, that's why we've proposed to activate that building with some of the training that we'd like to do, both from DBED's perspective and for Good Jobs, because after all, it's a UH facility. And then Creative Lab skills to job placement, career skills, meaning how to be a creative entrepreneur, create your own content, come in, and be able to succeed as an entrepreneur and business person in a creative field. Okay. And this is, of course, the three main goals for us: growing our creative economy, but more importantly, creating a hub here in the Pacific, which is recognized as much as other places in the world are. So when we met on Hawai'i Island, I'm just refreshing your memory that these are the things that we've committed to grow this film industry. We talked about the MOA between the counties and state. We are finalizing that now. That also ties to some requests in the budget, which are through a B fund, not a general fund. So the collaborative framework, again, with our counties that are here with us today, important because we knew that there was a problem with, and there still may be hiccups, okay? It's not gonna be perfect. But the bottom line is we all have to face the front of the bus, same direction in the canoe, and work together. We do understand the need for film tax credit stability. So that's part of Senate Bill 3265 that really helps to address that. And we need everyone's support for that measure as we go forward in the session. Purpose-built studio facilities, which recently was announced for UH West Oahu. But in addition to that, we need facilities to develop local creative IP. And that's a big focus for our work with the Deputy Director, and our partners in the Leeward Coast area specifically. So that gives you a sort of overview. This is what our county and state programs are working on now. Funding hopefully to support collective goals and a statewide strategic plan. Film permitting and digital modernization, that's very important. I'm gonna have both Sandy and Savannah come up to address that because this has been something that has been brought to our attention from the counties that is in particular sometimes a challenge. And both Valea can speak to that as well as our team from the film office. And then part of this collaboration under the memorandum of agreement is to establish an online aggregate site for all things related to film and eventually creative industries. So that's needed because there is currently no hub online to do that. So with that, Sandy, are you on from Kauai? Okay, Valea.
Hi, I'm here, sorry.
Oh, yay, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, there she is. Hi, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you share a little bit about how things are going on Kauai and the work that we did perhaps collectively at the end of last year.
Kauai's doing okay. We're still struggling a little bit to come out of both COVID and the strike from last year. But we still do have our core businesses, which have typically been commercials and catalog business. Let's see, so we're excited about getting Fohi going again. So we're in the middle of finalizing the MOA, and I'm really excited about getting an online permitting system, collaborative one, all of us on one, so we can see what's going on, mostly for data and metrics. A lot of that can sometimes be tough to get. So we've all talked about it, and we're pretty much in line with getting onto one system. So not just for us, but for production too, because a lot of times one production will be on 3 different islands, and for them to have to go into 3 different systems to try and get permits is really can be very cumbersome. But since we started putting this back together, we've done a couple marketing efforts over at the American Film Market, and I think we were also at Focus last year in London, and I heard that went well. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandy. Thank you. So, Valea, if you have anything to add to that in terms of permitting before we go on to that section.
Just excited to try to
tie it all together a little bit more, because we hear from the clients every day, the way the jurisdictions are here, the beach is the state, the land is the city, they're confused, they don't know which is which, and so anything we can do to make it easier so that they're not either under permitted or they don't understand what the complexities are, is what we're trying to resolve. You know, we do it now with phone calls to each other and emails back and forth, but it would be so much better if we could have a much more comprehensive roadmap to take care of that.
What would you recommend for us to do to make it easier?
Well, first, I think it's this MOA that allows the counties to work together in a structural way that we haven't had for a very long time. Because when the film offices were first created, it was through an initiative, I think it was at DBED, and I think Georgette Deemer was the film commissioner at the time. And it created a cooperative agreement between the different counties with a bit of a contractual relationship as well. I think when there was some really hard economic times, the governor at the time got rid of all agreements between counties that had monies involved. And so we have been working cooperatively just because we know it's the right thing to do since then. So this agreement that we're going to have that allows us to have a little bit more in working with the different parts of the government that require you to have that official relationship to make these things move is going to be really helpful.
Perfect. Director, put that on your list. Next? No, no.
We did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and we've certainly felt it with Director Tokioka coming in, that he wants to collaborate with all of us and he wants to help drive the industry forward. So it's actually been really great and refreshing and exciting to see that, you know, we have some good juice to work with.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So it's only $475,000 that we need for a number of things, if you wanted to know how much. And the idea was to do the same, mirror the same kind of relationship that DBED had with the counties before, where in a lot of cases, our county offices are not well funded. And of course, certainly with the impacts on Maui, this is critical for Luana and her team. So it would initially, if we were able to get funding, be able to share $50,000 with each of the counties to be able to mobilize their own workforce development initiatives, infrastructure components, perhaps ways to work within the current county systems, also to modernize and fast track their permitting system, which would be very helpful. That is something that I think is still necessary. The online portal is part of that, 400,000 as well, and that's about 200. So we do have a breakdown of what those costs are, but we didn't ask for any hard appropriations this year.
Can you send that to us?
Yeah, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is basically what we have been going over with our team, and I think if, you know, Savannah, you want to come up and share a little bit of what you've been working on and kind of, yeah, share the, you have this in your briefing materials. This is what every film permit looks like. And Savannah Gonzalez has been working with Sandy Ichihara Abe and the Tyler Group to be able to develop the online system. We do have some other, we will do an RFP for it because we do know there are other very progressive companies that are also providing this for the film industry. So we feel that we can use the work that we have done with them to also enhance the site. So take it away, Savannah.
Yeah, so currently this is the format that we use for film permits. It's transmitted through via email to our office. We then transmit it to the various agencies, whoever has jurisdiction over the land. And because the amount of agencies and people that we have to coordinate with, it becomes kind of time consuming, and because of the time frame that productions are working on, we feel that the online system will significantly enhance the efficiency of the process. So we've
Oh yes, I'm sorry, pardon me. Multitasking.
Oh, this is, so in addition to the standard film permit, we have a online e-permit that is specific to a set of qualifications. It's for low impact productions, 20 people, 4 cars, and it's specific to a certain pre-approved list of locations. They can pull this permit online. It's good for 2 weeks. They can shoot at up to 5 locations at a time. It's really flexible for photographers and things like that. So our goal is to, again, be centralized. The Hawai'i Island, I believe, has their site live right now. I was able to get in and test it out on the beta site, and I think it's great. It's incredibly intuitive, and beyond that, it has so much potential to evolve. And Location Pro, the company that we're testing this out with, understands what it is that we need, and that's something that's really important. Someone that can, think a few steps ahead, know what we need, and understand our language without spending hours trying to explain what we need to a company that doesn't know what film permits are and that whole process. So yeah, the features of this are they're great. We can communicate between counties. You can.
How long take for the approval and permit?
So it depends. So we have, again, a ton of different agencies that we go through. So, and it also depends on the complexity of the shoot.
So like ocean shoot,
Yeah.
You get a private landowner here, you get DLNR jurisdiction.
So,
and
okay,
then
so for
county road
instance,
and-
yeah, so for instance, say someone wants to shoot in the water at Waimea Bay. Waimea Bay is county,
state.
then the ocean shoreline is state. So they'll come to us, they'll send us a packet of the standard film permit application, then they'll have all the documentation, jet ski registration, water safety person, water safety letter, and then that'll go through us. If everything is like correct, not expired, they have all the forms, their insurance meets all the qualifications, it's a quick process. Dobar is okay with activity, they say okay, it can be up to like 1 to 3 days max, once they get the application. Typically, if they have concerns or things are like inaccurate or expired, then they have to come back to us and say, hey, this and this, or they have questions. If it's a big ask, if it's a complicated ask, then that elongates the process. But if it's simple, to the point, the applicant puts all the information clearly, it's pretty quick. They're able to digest the information. And that's the other part too, is again, being able to digest the information quickly. And the online system, I think, helps with that as
So
well.
they're really gotta be on it then for the planning part on.
On the production side, absolutely.
How you guys do the shooting scenes?
What do you mean?
So like if there's a scene where there's shooting going on.
Oh, like a gun?
No.
Oh,
No, okay, so
Yeah.
like DOT.
Yeah, like.
All the permits have to
Yeah.
be coordinated,
Yeah.
all the different agencies, and it goes through DOT quite often when they shut down the tunnels,
yeah,
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they need a specific permit for the specific time, and then if it rains, then it creates other difficulties, but it is a plethora of touch points that have to be looked at and permitted.
So the
Yeah.
centralization would help to kind of speed that process.
it would, yeah, yeah. And then in addition, if it's county, I'm always making sure that they are reaching out to Balea and will communicate
Most
as much
times,
as possible.
most times when the request is like, say when over the police scene, do you guys like, tell them like, you shouldn't do them like during early mornings or afternoon hours? You guys have limitations, I mean.
Yeah,
Not to
like,
impact
well,
residents.
and for the most part, people that want to do those types of scenes, no, because they need to put up signage and get their shot, and they have the ability to, control traffic in short periods of time. So, we'll ultimately advise them, and if they're pushing back, we'll say, okay, we'll ask, and we'll send it to DOT, and if they have ultimately a problem, we'll work it out with the agents, with the applicant.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of planning that goes
Yeah.
into
it's a
one
lot,
scene.
it's a lot.
And a lot of times you have to train the productions, not maybe the big ones, but then sometimes you do. And it's multiple agencies involved, so we facilitate agencies approve. And agencies put conditions on everything, as we know from DOT, of course, and other agencies that we work with, so.
And sometimes the counties, because they're the on-the-ground people, will be doing the on-the-ground meetings that will happen even before the permits are submitted, so that all of that can be coordinated. And a lot of times there's 3-4 discussions that happen just to help them craft the permit and get to what needs to happen so that they can put it down on paper. So there's a lot of stuff that happens beforehand.
But just because one day I was driving to Manoa, and like you guys took this whole block up, like right by after the shopping center.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even in Manoa for like 2 hours. I came back and everything was gone.
Oh,
I was like, wow.
yeah.
Maybe I was imagining things.
Yeah.
But I
No,
mean,
it's
like,
amazing.
it was a lot of trucks, a lot of scenes going on. I was like, oh, was I imagining things? But
Yeah, and a
that
lot of times
fast,
it's
so I was
like
kinda
they know it's a big production,
Yeah.
so they try to get in and out in like 1 to 3 hours. Yeah, because I know like the
Sure.
road.
oh, sorry.
No, no, I understand the permitting process, but for me, that I wanted to bring up, and I've been talking to a lot of you, that I want to know when, is the labor, the unions are notified on this. You guys doing the permits, but how long in front notice that they're going to have to find out if they need the workforce, if they're short on the workforce, and how they can prepare for each production? Because you guys doing a lot of, there's great things right now to have that thing online. But when does the workforce come in, the unions come in to know that this is being filled out so that they can be prepared for the production well in advance incoming?
Perfect segue to our next section.
Oh, okay. Shucks. I must not look at the slide, that's why.
You're looking at the jacuzzi the whole time. I saw you on that jacuzzi.
No, but it's a great question, because I know we discussed this last session, and it is something that I think we have the latitude to do within our existing structure and the responsibilities of the tax credit, to ask those questions early on, because our labor unions here and also Kevin online, it's important that they know ahead of time. We can't assume that they do know. And so I think that's your point, right? So I would say that would probably fall under the tax credit group, and we work closely, we're all in the same office, so there is a lot of collaboration. I will say that, for David, Kaylee, Hawai'i, and Savannah, like, they're constantly working together, so you have a good team in place to be able to effectuate that. So with the tax credit 101, David and Brent, David, you wanna come up, and then Brent can come and lead it? Because this is important just to share how the credit works, and you have a lot of the forms in your packet, so you don't have to squint on the screen.
So before David starts, I want to add to that, because DBED heard loud and clear, even though I wasn't here last year, the concerns that the legislature had regarding permits and tax credits. And then in the beginning, when I first got to DBED, I made it a point to meet with the team that was doing what David is going to present. And it was a whole new way of thinking, because we need to make sure that we can explain what we do and how we do it. So David, through George's leadership, has taken great responsibility in putting the forms and the information together. And, between myself and Deputy Director Wicker, it's not hands-off. We are in meeting because they are right down the hall from us. So we go in their office, or they come to our office, because we want to make sure that if things happen that are concerns here in this building, we know why it happened. And we know that we thought about ways to create the tax credits and to list them so that we can explain everything to you. So I'm very, very proud of what they've done in the short time that they've been there, because it's essentially a new team. I mean, there's...
Yeah, and they look happy.
Oh, they are, as am I.
We're actually talking. It's good.
No pressure, right?
Well, no pressure, because you got your stuff together. So go ahead, David.
Okay, So I just want to go over some notable changes. If I were to go in detail, we'll be here all day, so I'm just gonna go over a brief overview of what we do, okay? So notable changes for 2023, first is the tax rates. We've increased from 20 to 22% for Oahu, increased for neighbor islands 25 to 27%, which is great for productions. Minimum spend, we decreased from 200,000 to 100,000. That helps out a lot of the smaller productions, right? In order for them to qualify. Per production cap, 15 million to 17 million. That's, it helps out, you know, the larger productions like NCIS. And then the agreed upon procedures, so as of 2023, the filers aren't required to use a third-party CPA to get an agreed upon procedure, we call it AEPRs. We highly recommend them to, because it improves the accuracy, the turnaround time is a lot better, streamlines the entire production tax credit process. So that's why we requested to reinstate it in SB 3265 SD1. So just a brief overview of the step-by-step process. We start off with the production registration form, or the PRF. That's the first application that we, the filers have to go through in order to qualify for the production tax credit. So in regards to that, some of the focus points that we have for the PRF is we look out for the filing entity, estimated budget, which is really important because when you guys are requesting for finances, we don't have actuals until we actually receive their actual amounts, right? So, but we do get estimated budgets. So as of now, I have 2023 estimated budgets. Target Hawaii production dates, which is really important. Some films may be just for the specific year, 1 year. Some split. So we want to know that ahead of time to kind of give us a better idea of how we're budgeting for that specific filing year. And then Hawaii targeting hiring plan. So it's not going to be specific in the PRF, but we are going to have an idea of how many people they're planning on hiring, Hawaii resident versus non-Hawaii resident, just to give us a better idea. And then we go more into detail when we go to the HPR form, which will be a little after.
Can I also add that that would be the nexus of where you would add in the outreach to the unions and the verification?
Yes. So once the production registration form has been approved by us, we provide them a pre-qualified letter form. So this letter, it provides the filer with the qualified estimated spend that we see that is qualified as, and then the qualified estimated tax credit that they possibly will receive. I will tell you that usually when filers want to go to the agreed upon procedures with third party, they usually find certain expenses that aren't qualified. So on average, it drops about 10,000. So it can vary, but we always take estimated as what it is, estimated, right? Okay, so once they receive the PQL forms, I'm just counting for March of 2024, we require all the filers to submit their Hawaii production report. Now this is a big one. This is the form that we ask for the specifics for Hawaii residents versus non-Hawaii residents. We separate it by categories, by above the line, below the line, by pay, by islands. So this is the one that, like the 2022 reports that we sent you, those are actual numbers pulled from the HPR report form here. I apologize, it's a little small and dated, but I will let you know that we're currently working on an online portal, just like on the permit site. And so this is gonna clean up a lot of the manual process that happens with filers coming in, emailing us, handwritten reports, and us having to kind of go back and forth. So all the numbers you guys see, we had to like quadruple check to make sure, or even more actually, to make sure that the numbers were accurate. When we go onto the online portal, everything will be in one source. Everything will be in one database where we can pull specifics. If you wanna ask about how much Hawaii residents versus non-residents were in Maui, I can pull it up and provide it to you in minutes. Versus me having to pull each specific application, right? So
36 a year on average.
yeah. So once they submit all the HPRs, we go into the HFO. We'll do like an official review, and because the audit or the agreed upon procedures are no longer required, we do it in-house. So it takes longer. The turnaround time is not going to be as fast. It's not going to be as streamlined because we're checking line by line to make sure that all of the qualified production costs follow what states in the law. So, for example, filers cannot claim like a trip, like a one-way trip for a flight, $2,000 or higher. So we have to track that. It goes in real detail. So that's why we depend on the agreed upon procedures to help us with it. We're a two-man group here. So currently for 2023, we have 28 filers. So it's a lot to deal with. The portal's gonna help us out, but it's, you know, the agreed upon procedures is actually one of the, it really helps us to stay steady with accuracy and streamlining and turnaround time.
Meet the 7-month deadline.
Yes, meet the 7-month deadline. Let's see, so.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so once it's been approved, we'll let them know it's been approved and we'll notify them about we're introducing a 0.2% fee. That's gonna be, that money is gonna be transferred to the CID special fund. And so on the portal, we have it set up to where it happens in real time. So once we approve, they get an email notification, they can go into the site and they can actually pay online. That amount we track as well. I've worked with Tyler Tech, which is the third party we're working with for our portal. And they're actually gonna be receiving the payment, and I'm gonna reconcile and make sure that the amount that's stated on their HPR form, the 0.2%, matches what shows, and whatever is deposited into that account is what it is. So, and lastly, once they satisfy that requirement, then the certificate is issued, of course, after signed by the director.
See, just from this alone addresses a lot of concerns that you guys had last year about expensive trips, about hiring local, and so we made sure that all of the concerns that were brought up in last year's hearings that were addressed throughout the processes that they've created that are.
So you're even on the higher local, like you guys do on Hawaii resident or Hawaii resident. Are those residents all under union, even the non-Hawaii resident, or?
It won't state it on the HB one, I think this is.
Not all,
Okay.
not all of them, but that's why you'll see later some great metrics from our labor unions, particularly SAG-AFTRA and IATSE, regarding, what a fun ride this is. But, you know, you can articulate that. I think that's another cross point that we'll double check when we have the information coming in. Because you can tell and we can cross check with our union partners as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to go over some of the processes we go over for allocating the tax credit. I know that was a huge concern. So, one of the guidelines we follow is following the order of date and time the pre-production registration is submitted. So we follow that, and also we do prioritize all the smaller productions first. So anything $500,000 or lower for tax credits goes up to the top. And so if we go to the next screen.
So when you move them up, you guys do them by intake of date or?
Both. Intake of date, and so the reason why we do that is because you see how much money those bottom portions getting, they would eat it up.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you, I'm in the research tax credits, that's what's happening right now. They're eating up all the tax credits, so I would love to, I don't mean to segue into that, but this process works to where we can actually prioritize all the smaller productions up to the top of the local productions, and the bigger productions will still get their cut, but they're just, they're not gonna get all of it, right?
Because they have the capacity to carry that forward, and small productions do not. That's why it was an intentional policy decision when we first structured this credit.
I was worried about.
Okay, so this is just a brief overview of the Hawaii production report. It's gonna look a lot cleaner on the portal. We just went technically live today, but we're just having to update the sites and everything, so it's very exciting. But we're having to, I just wanna make sure all the bugs are out. Yeah, nerve-wracking, but yeah. So as you can see, we have the Hawaii resident versus non-residents, the different types by department, by category, hires by county residency. So we have that breakout. And the excellent thing about the portal is that I can pull this in Excel easily. So if you want a specific item by the category of Hawaii versus Hawaii resident versus non-resident, I can pull it for you easily. Specific reports, charts, whatever you want, I can pull it. It's just I love databases, and this is kind of helpful for us. So this is a dated HFO review sheet that we were using. So for the portal, it's helpful for the filers, but it's also helpful for us as the reviewers and the admin. So we're gonna be able to do this in real time on the site, to track it, what's been approved, what hasn't been approved, if it's been denied, specific reasons as to why it's been denied. So we'll have that communication there, and it'll streamline the entire process overall. This is an example of our 2022 annual report. You guys have that I know it's super small, so you guys have that in your packet. So, but it pretty much breaks out everything that was provided on the HPR for Hawaii residents versus non-residents, workforce development, which I wanted to share for 2022. The workforce development, the total donations there's 26 donations, and the total was 272,000. For 2023, estimated, because we don't have our actuals yet, is 196,000. It could be more, could be less, depends on when we get the actual spend. So,
And contributions are going to public schools only, not private schools, and University of Hawaii. So for example, one production contributed 74,000 to Hawaiian Sea Writers and UH Foundation, Hilo, and Manoa.
one of the goals is to be able to track the workforce development. Once the filer and the production companies submit it to the schools, we want to be able to track to see how it's being applied. So that's one of our goals for next year, to kind of see how we can do that. And also, just to create fairness, we don't want them submitting to just one school, right? We want it fair across the board. So we're trying to create processes to kind of get that set into place. So, okay, so this is kind of the boring part, but I just want to show you like how we did the carry forward amounts. So for 2022, we had to carry over 15.57 million because we went past the $50 million cap. So that 15.57 million was already applied into 2022. So that means that from the get-go of 2022, we only had 34.43 million to work off of. Okay, so that was the 50 million right there, and then we had to carry over 27.45 million into 2023 because we have split, the mandatory split from 2.5 million. We have to carry that over to the next year. So if you go to the next year, there's a 27.45 million carryover. 2023, 20.98 million is what we have left to work with. So this is, it's kind of showing a clear picture as to why we're asking for the 60 million, because even now, so we're lucky because of the strike, I'll be honest, that's why we still have 1.57 million. But if that strike didn't happen, we'd be over. Just based off of history, that's how, and based off the numbers, we would have been over already. The reason is because filers, they have to spend so much money within the year. So they had to put everything on pause, so the spend dropped, right? So maybe they didn't qualify for the 100,000. So based off the history, I would say that's the reason why. Once everything's been approved and certain letters have been sent out, we provide the data to READ. And so READ has their report on the EBET site, and this is one of the examples that they have. It's a clear breakdown. I like how they set up their report on it. And then there's one more slide. Yeah, so we recently got this one, the film impact on tourism. And this is an interesting number. So 436,000 were motivated to visit due to television programs and movies. And if you look at the economic impact, 1 billion in visitor spend, 1.2 billion contributions to GDP, 543 in earnings, and 121 in state tax revenues. So there is an impact happening with film and tourism. So yeah.
And the biggest spike there is Japan, which is a good sign from 2022. It may not match necessarily the tourism metrics exactly.
Senator Fukunaga.
Can I just ask how you track that? How do you derive that data?
So the Research and Economic Analysis Division, several years ago, the HTA research team was merged with them. And so when you fill out the form on the plane, you can have the option of putting in your email. So they do exit email interviews with people, and that's what they conducted. We started it in 2018. I asked for it in 2018, and we finally got a lot of data from them. So it's cumulative, because remember, it's not just the people that came in 2018 2022, because the 2022 metrics are things that are filmed but not seen yet in some cases. But that's how they process it. And Eugene, I think you have the full report. You should have the full report in your, and I would love to have Eugene and his team, share the data points and how they arrived at it, because it's data that we've all wanted for a long time.
But it's only,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's only people that they
That's right.
randomly picked that would put their email.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't even fill out the form.
And I would
Because
say
it's
that this,
voluntary.
I'm sorry.
Because it's voluntary, the form.
So my suggestion would be that we attempt some kind of app to do this like we did with COVID.
Well, we've been pushing for that. I've had bills to get rid of
Yes,
the
I
written
saw.
form, and I don't know what's going on. That's what you guys said last year and the year before that.
I wasn't there.
Well, that doesn't-
It wasn't there.
But
Yeah, but I know you was watching the briefings though.
The people behind
Watching the
you and your
briefings.
staff has been around, a lot of them.
I mean, they was gonna
He's
name the
committed to
farmers.
cracking down.
Yes, actually,
I hate when people say I wasn't here.
HTA is directing money specifically to an app,
Specifically to a visitor industry app that can help visitors with permits, hiking permits, camping permits, all of those things. And then the possibility of local businesses being connected to it so that the app can pay for itself through ads or whatever. But the data that we can collect from those apps are gonna be critical. 2 airlines, I think you folks know, are in the process of doing an online form as a pilot. So
When is that gonna?
it's happening, well, they've started creating the app internally so that they can monitor it. And what they're talking about is doing it when you make the reservation.
I know, but when is that going to?
I'll get back to you on the date.
Because again, that's been something we've been talking about for
It
a
is,
couple of years.
it is, and I know Ed Sniffen at DOT, the agriculture, we've had 3 meetings already in the governor's office specifically about that. So we're gonna go with the pilot first to see how it works, and then figure out how the state does their own app. And I'm hopeful that we can do it through the visitor industry app that HTA has set aside money through HVCB to create such an app.
Okay, well, it just concerns me because again, this is a pilot, the app. By the time you put the pilot, when we don't know even gonna come on, and then you get the results, and then it's gonna be, years from now. Yet when COVID happened, we were able to get those apps up and running in March. And this takes forever, UH, same thing. They could build Ching Field, but they cannot fix the dorms.
I'm not gonna speak for you.
I'm just telling you that, it's things that people want to get done, they get it done fast when they want it, but other stuff, it lingers.
See, I told you
Year
I'm
after
gonna
year
do
after
this
year.
fast.
No, because it's kind of hard because Hawaiian Airlines is one of them and they're not gonna be there anymore, so.
Well,
Cannot do the-
Alaska is the other one. For real.
No, I mean,
Alaska is the other one.
I see what she's saying. I mean, I've been here not that long as a lot of my colleagues, but pilot programs, I mean, it's just a pilot. What is it on pilot? You know what I mean? I mean.
If the
it's just-
pilot, yeah.
Yeah, no
pilot
what a
even gets
pilot, no what a
started.
plane. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not in agreement, but I'm in agreement with her. It's just that how quickly do we really want something? Because I'm gonna tell you guys right now, from last year to now, having this, that was quickly. You know what I mean? It was quick.
Thank you for being
We
there.
had to deal with that first, and now.
No, what I'm trying to say is because you guys focused on it. So how much of these airlines or any other people wanna focus on doing it? What kind of encouragement that we're gonna give them to do it? Do we have to take away the nice airplane areas and give them to everybody as if Hawaiian? Like those nice little,
No, we have to take away the paper, tell them they can no longer pass out a paper on
Well, you
plane,
guys-
then they're gonna.
Everybody
do
knows how
something.
much it costs too. That paper is
Exactly.
$800,000
And
a
nobody,
year.
I don't know that people actually read it, because we've written down, oh, we have a snake, or call me, don't call. They don't call
I got a
you.
banana in my
do that.
bag.
Doesn't
Yeah.
even do that.
They don't call you.
doesn't mean.
They don't call you back.
Okay,
at
so
all.
I will tell you that, we will
Try,
put
they
as
don't
much
call you.
effort on that as we did on that. The lieutenant governor has been holding meetings on the app and the digital ag form too. 3 already, so it's not like
Well,
we're
she
not
got her
doing it.
preschools up and running, so maybe she can get this up and running
Yeah,
too.
no.
But you guys
We're
find
we're
that,
working hard. I promise you, we're working hard on
you
it.
guys find the people with the snake down at false alarm to the house.
2 years
What I
later,
wanted to ask is that, I understand all of this is great, but how willing is the industry, willing to do this? They really
They're
Georgia?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the intentions initially was to get them to do it because it helps us provide the data that we need to be able to share with both the legislature, the general public, our taxpayers, And our industry, they also need metrics from us on a regular basis. It is a process right now with, Savannah, Brent, and our team lead here, David, to be able to do that. So we have tested the program with them. I'm excited that this briefing aligned the stars with when we actually are doing it, so it is online now.
I figure it will be beneficial because the per meeting process is gonna be a little more streamlined too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So then we'll have a true digital modernization of what we have needed for some time. And I think that everyone has worked very hard in the office to, align that and also to test with, right, the industry folks. And they gave you a lot of good feedback, right?
Yep, we had mock tests, I think 4 or 5 of them, and then they gave us plenty of notes, and then we applied it. And then we worked really hard on this, literally finished up until today to get it done. And it's just because even the smallest bugs we tried to get out of the way. Is it perfect? I don't know, we're gonna find out, right? How exactly, it runs fine now, but there's always bugs, there's always something that may happen. But we have a team that we work with just in case. And they'll work with us in real time to fix whatever issues there are.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're also going to work on a survey, so a satisfaction survey that'll be separate from the exact system because we don't want to bog them down with that, right? We want to make sure that they're attending to the customers that are doing the work and uploading, and to you and Brent for being able to mitigate anything you need to do. But it is important to do a survey and find out, were there other glitches that you ran across? Are there other issues that from an industry perspective are not going to work? So we know pretty much, in addition with the Motion Picture Association, they, also looked at and shared with their members. So we're confident it's going to work, and now we need to move on to the next one.
So glad to see you moving in the right direction, because a year ago, man, you guys just so I can appreciate that, but I think this is where, like, for all of the departments, we're like centralize your stuff. So kind of know where, so I'm glad to see that happen.
Thank
but,
you. Thank you,
I know we get plenty more slides.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
We had the movie moving.
Okay.
Senator, so if I'm being asked to steer the ship, that's canoe. I just kind of want to know how much time you folks have, because there's a lot of information that needs to be brought out, but we want to make sure that we're cognizant of your time.
Well, we have an hour, but I want to be able to allow the committee to ask questions, because there's a lot of questions I know that we have, but.
So we'll do
So,
15 to 20 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so maybe if we can get some of our partners in the union to give, because we don't want you guys to think we're working in a vacuum. And the only way you're gonna know
No,
is if
prior to this, I know you guys also were vacuum, so
Yeah.
I can appreciate this surely. And the concerns that we did have, I know that you've taken care of a lot of those concerns, which is why we're at this point right here. I do know that Senator Kim has to leave shortly, so if you like drag your time out, so you're not gonna listen, but, sorry, but if, you wanna like
I don't
ask,
have
if
too
you like
many
ask your, maybe if she want,
I don't have any questions.
Wait,
Sure.
wait till we get to
because I
the
get
pipeline.
questions too, but.
Okay,
I'll let the chair ask.
Okay, we can come back to this, but we already mentioned it in the beginning. Facilities for local IP growth, and then most of you saw this map that we did in November, but this is a picture of the state and where there are opportunities for additional stage complexes and more to come, right? We already know that. So, workforce development, we already talked about this, you saw it a little earlier. I would like to bring up both Tui and Thomas to go through the creative industry sector partnership that we're doing with Good Jobs, and more importantly, what are the current programs that are happening? So I think the two of them can handle that. I'll do slide view. How's that? Okay.
Yo.
all right.
Oh, look, the whole one
Oh,
needs to take you
Yo,
down.
what? Evening.
I don't even know why I was talking about the canoe.
All right, so my main kuleana when I was hired back in April was to be the sector lead for the creative industry sector for Good Jobs Hawaii. And that sector partnership, building up and creating that sector partnership, which basically is where we gather as many industry stakeholders under the creative industries umbrella as we can to come together and to have these conversations about workforce development. What are the skills that are needed? Where are the opportunities that you see moving forward? a lot of the work, because of the EDA grant and the requirements of that grant, went into just building up the sector partnership. Like before we even get to any trainings or internships, a lot of it was just getting the form of the sector partnership together. And we were able to do that. We had our first sector partnership meeting back in December, where we have the second full sector partnership meeting planned for March 14th. And as part of that, the three main work groups that were identified by the steering committee and the sector partnership were career awareness, training and internships, and infrastructure and support. So we have had, as part of the meetings with our sector partnership, conversations with industry folks and with the other stakeholders. So you have educators, you have folks like TUI and Mauricia, be involved in these conversations around these topics regarding workforce development. Let's see. I don't want to take up too much more time, but really where we are now is kind of in phase 2 of the Good Jobs Hawaii plan. There's 3 phases. The first phase was that setting up that sector partnership. The second phase really is where we transition from setting up that sector partnership to start delivering training and start getting people through these trainings with whether it's third-party trainings where if the training doesn't exist at the community college or the University of Hawaii level, so we have to work with third-party providers to offer those trainings, or if it does exist at a community college, market it or like promote it and access the Good Jobs Hawaii funds to be able to cover the tuition and fees for the students who are going to be participating in those classes. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're hoping to launch something in this summer. One of our biggest priorities, if not the biggest priority, is the IATSE pre-apprenticeship program at Windward Community College. I don't want to steal Tui's thunder, but that's one of the ones that we're looking at.
If I could,
go ahead.
If I could jump in real quick, can you go back 2 slides? So one of the things, I sit on the Good Jobs Challenge Steering Committee. I also sit on our International Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and the negotiating subcommittee for our international, for our upcoming contract negotiations for the DEI portion of the contract. And one of the things that I think is lost on a lot of people in the conversation, because it is an immediate need to get people to work, right? But taking someone who is not working and then putting them to work is not a career pathway. That's a doorway, right? You're taking someone from one space to another. A true career pathway starts by increasing awareness at a young age, right? By showing kids that at early stages, and that's some of the work that we do with Climb High, the program where we do outreach to DOE schools, early awareness of what our industry does, like getting them to understand, to identify that the shows that they watch, the games that they play, the music that they listen to, have all had folks that are behind that work behind the scenes, and then encouraging them to step up in and participate in easily identifiable things in the later elementary school, early middle school, to take part in May Day, in making lei, or setting up the chairs for an assembly, because an assembly is just a miniature convention, right? To taking part in the plays in their theater programs in their schools, because all of the many skill sets, the foundational portions of the skill sets, begin in theater and just grow bigger after that. You don't have to be in the lead to do that. You just have to be able to be willing to participate. And then once they have built on those skill sets, by the time they get to the end of high school, they can see that I have these audiovisual skills for convention work. I have these theater skills because I've worked backstage for long enough that now I'm interested in being a costumer or a set lighting technician or a rigger or a carpenter, right? Then they can build on that and find further steps along the career pathway. But if we do not start with early education, then it is not truly a career pathway, and we're not setting up our kids for success. Going back to the Good Jobs Challenge, so I'm super excited about this program. I had to stumble my way into this industry. I started off as a theater major, and my on-campus job was working in the shop, right? Like repairing lights and hanging the sound and building the sets and whatnot for the theater program at my college, at Chapman University. And at the end of it, I was on this performance career pathway, and then I found a dead end very quick because I realized that LA does not provide agents or auditions or headshots or any of those things. And I was kind of lost in the wind, lamenting my fate, sitting backstage, and I'd done that backstage stuff alongside my performance career pathway, repairing a light, lamenting my fate, saying, what do I do with myself? And they said, just do that, right? And then one thing led to another, because I had built on those skill sets all the way up to college. Suddenly there was an in to be a stagehand, and then suddenly it led me back to the union. So I've been a part of this industry abroad since 2001 and a member of the union since 2007. And I kind of had to fumble my way through it, and I want to make it so that the path behind me is easier to walk than the one that I had to take. We have partnered with Windward Community College. We're still working with our international, now vice president, proud of him, Carlos Cota, international representative Daniel Cook, with Maria Elena Diaz and Nick Logue from Windward Community College, because they have a working theater, Poliku Theater, to give them a head start and the basics of what we do, foundational knowledge of the skills that it takes. So starting with safety, always starting with safety, because any job, there is no job that's worth anyone's life or their safety or their health. So starting with things like OSHA 10 with a focus on the entertainment industry, lift certification for scissor lifts, boom lifts, forklifts, telehandlers, fall protection, and then moving into the basics of theater rigging, to portable power distribution, to rigging, to a little bit of costuming, so that they can see many of the different elements. We're working on doing some of these classes, and also intro to grip, to how to be a grip 101, simply because I know how to bake biscuits from a box of Bisquick. That does not make me a baker, right? Simply because someone knows, simply because someone knows a single knot, that does not make them a rigger, right? But they can at least get a taste of it and the beginnings of understanding and awareness of what the job requires. So it would be 5 weeks of instruction by industry professionals, who will then take some of the modules that we've developed at the international level with our training trust fund and our local 665 training trust fund, making sure that our trainers are trained in the industry and have industry experience. They can then pass on to folks, and having them at site-specific training. So there's no point in teaching someone to drive a car that they do not own, right? Or they do not have access to. You've got to train them to the place that they're going to work. So training them to work in the convention center and show them how to hang points in the convention center, and teaching them how to drive lifts out in the exterior as well as interior, teaching them how to use grip and lighting equipment, interior and exterior, right? And giving them a taste of that over a 5-week period. If they've completed that 5-week period, then go on to a 2-week paid internship, which is then a portion of our DEI negotiations in our contract, that there are identified training programs that producers and employers can identify on the list, say that this person, look, they have the certificate, good, put them to work. And then Good Jobs Challenge will then subsidize some of the wages for those interns, right? And then there's language and protections that exist within the DEI contract language. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do with Windward Community College.
So the commitment is already made prior to the end.
Yeah.
By you guys.
Yes. So the model that Tui just described is what we're basically hoping to replicate it, regardless whether it's above the line, below the line jobs on film and video productions, because creative industries covers such a broad, I mean, it's a pretty broad umbrella. So we can look at it in esports, which is something also that TUI is very supportive of. That's
a whole nother info.
Other career paths within the creative industries. I know music is part of our Kuleana, but we also have UX UI, which has been it's out there on the edge, but it's still part of our creative industries kind of place.
Again, question. So will at some point we be saturated with employees and not having enough work for them?
So yeah, so the growth, the expansion and contraction of the workforce is directly based on the availability of work, right? As the availability of work grows, so too does the workforce. And if there is not enough work there, then the workforce will contract as well. But you do not need to be, you can maintain your card even if you live in New Orleans or you live in Montana, right? You can still be a member. Even if you are working, you can have as many union cards as you want, so long as you pay your dues, right? But yes, it is directly related.
Yeah, but I like them employed.
Yes,
You know,
indeed,
I
absolutely.
can carry my card, but I gotta get employed.
Absolutely.
So at some point upon saturation, what is capacity for Austin within the film industry?
Max capacity is a difficult thing to predict, but just ballpark, it would be, if we were to truly, because we're not just film and TV, right? Like we're also convention and trade show and live events and musicals and fill in the blank, anything to do with entertainment, right? So if you have the skill set, much of my work would be, you know, I would work on a TV show for a couple of months, then I'd work on a movie for a couple of months, and I'd go and work on a commercial and then a musical and a trade show, right? So it really depends upon all of the many facets to create. If we're talking max capacity, full out, that means every state venue, every county venue is full. That would mean Stan Sheriff, that would mean convention center, that would mean Blaisdell Arena, Blaisdell Concert Hall, it would mean Kamakana Ali'i Outdoor Show, it would mean Hawai'i Theater, it would mean Aloha Stadium in the parking lot, you know, like the Ko'olina where we did not Rock the Troops, Arashi, which was hundreds of workers that built that thing, a set so big it couldn't fit in Aloha Stadium, right? So
sorry.
Well, you know, in a way, this is really perfect timing because with the university's West Oahu campus RFP, assuming you have a production facility that can accommodate more work and then provide greater opportunities, part of what you're doing now is really expanding the training opportunities so that when that facility is completed, then, you know, immediately they will have booked
if you build it, they
productions
will come, right?
to use the facilities, and that will help make a greater dent in the need for additional kinds of businesses to support more productions and more work being done in Hawaii.
So that's why I said your question is such a great question because it's almost a chicken or egg kind of conversation. Like if you have the work, but you don't have the workers, then that's no good. If you have the workers, but you don't know how to work. So that's why.
But if you don't have the workers, the work won't come,
yes.
right?
So that's why all the infrastructure efforts that DBED is doing and this workforce development effort, like they have to go together, or else it's like what you're projecting could happen.
For the apprenticeship program for 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks that they come into the
Internship for two, training for
internship,
5.
what is the options that they have after their 2 week internship? If they should go qualify to get onto the list of possible joining the union?
Yes.
And the hours that they gotta put in, I don't know how much hours you gotta put in.
Yes,
Become
so-
a union member?
Yes, so it's a great question. The program itself allows for 2 weeks, non-consecutive, because it really depends on the availability of work. In the contract negotiations that we're going into in April, late April, early May, we will be discussing that DEI initiative, that portion of the contract, right? And there are parameters within the contract that outline what it is a production needs to do with the protections for a worker, for an intern, right? They can't just be thrown to the meat grinder and say like, well, figure it out, right? They have to shadow an industry professional. There has to be an industry professional that is supervising them. They can work a limited amount of hours so they are not displacing union labor. But all of those, again, are subject to negotiation, and I won't be able to report on it concretely until negotiations are finished.
As long as they're not being interns and say, hey, go get my coffee and my donut.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That is also.
Because you know when we went.
Coffee and donut.
That's not a pathway to career.
No, not at all, not at all.
The reason why I say that is because when we
bills,
went
it
out
is.
there, I remember some of the guys on the set said they started off with running around getting coffee. But I mean, they have a career now, but I mean, I'm just saying.
That's
since we
production
start this,
assistant work, right? That
Right,
like they
right.
are the hardest working, the worst treated. I mean, we're kind of getting off subject, but
Oh, my Lord, this is-
PAs,
yeah.
they're not allowed to do that kind of menial, diminutive labor.
Thank
It has
you.
to be
Yes.
something specific to the craft.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna do it next time?
So one last thing, did you want to touch on animation portion?
Yeah, I can just share another effort that we're a proposal that's been submitted and looks like it'll be funded by Good Jobs Hawaii is at Kapi'olani Community College. Adam Mora, who's a professor there, is proposing a digital arts fundamentals course. But basically what this course would do would be a pathway into digital media animation. And then that coupled with our efforts working with Story Experiential and X in a Box, which is they would be more on the online, not based in Hawaii, but they've been in Hawaii for quite a while. Basically a story crafting / animation type of curriculum that has been developed by 2 former Pixar animators and someone from Khan Academy, which is another online educational resource. We've been looking at doing an externship style approach with DOE teachers who teach the CTE pathway and the creative arts pathway, to providing them this training so that they can, I mean, it goes back to what Tui was saying earlier about if we don't start reaching back down into the DOE and, as was said earlier, even younger, it's too late by the time they get into high school, right? So the X in a Box is a great kind of segue between your elementary school education and then in the middle school years and into high school years, learning how to take these ideas and put them together in a way that can be produced and can be written and can be shared and put out there in the world so that people can start to appreciate the stories that we have to tell here in Hawaii. There's a lot of great stories, a lot of great storytellers here in Hawaii, and that's.
They start at age 13.
Yes, they start at age 13. Can be younger, but yeah, they tend to try to keep people at 13. But anyway, yeah. So those are some of the things that we're working on getting started here in Hawaii in the DOE and using Good Jobs funds to get those trainings paid for and covered. Anything else? Okay.
Marisha, upstate.
Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
It's the SAG and SAG-AFTRA and IATSC show.
I'm gonna grab my water, I'll be right back.
Okay. Handle the clicker. It's that one.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool, I think this is the chair, I can remember this.
This is the
Yes,
one.
that's the one.
This is the chair.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's the special chair. Okay, I'll do. So this is the information that we put together for you. Working with our, maybe this way better, yeah, with our national team too, to really go in deep. So it's a snapshot. Here's where we are today. We've got 1432 as of when I was asked to make this slide, of our members. And I wanted to give you a snapshot of just real, like, here we are this month. This month, or January, December alone, I put those 2 together because not much work in December, right? We had 141 work calls. So what's a work call? Right, here's just to also to give you a wider shot. Snapshot was 141, here's where we are starting January of 23. And you can see where we've grown. But I think this is what's probably more important. When you see the number of work calls and here's how we're growing, what I wanted to provide y'all with also is the residents that are here in Hawaii. So these are folks who claim Hawaii as their local, not the folks that we're gonna bring in from LA or whatever, but just for Hawaii local. And these are, you know, the job counts from 2015 all the way up. And if you note, even with 118-day strike, you know, it was pretty, I think, impactful here in Hawaii. We still, you know, before and after still worked. 2020, that low number, that's COVID, but notice still worked, right? I think we were one of the few industries that went through even during COVID time. I'm gonna go really fast because I know I was there. 21 and 22 were really good years for us. There's a lot of Hawaii residents were booking jobs. And so I'm also gonna go through, because I know that was asked, what kind of jobs and how much money do these folks make? But real quick, I love this graphic of the kind of jobs that are here in Hawaii. I break it down by month. You can kind of see where we're going. This month or last month, lots of TV. The green is new media, so this is like the Apple show that sometimes people talk about with a certain star that's attached to it. The blue is commercial, but you can kind of see where we're going. The light blue is theatrical. We'd like to see more of that, but you know, for whatever reason, as of May was probably the month where we had the most theatrical gigs. But so that's there for you too. And here's what our folks make. So this is scale as of this last 9 after the contract was ratified, right? And note that these rates will go up 4% the next year and 3.5% the year after. Any performer, so stunt, day performers, those are folks that say any kind lines, even if it's here's your coffee, thank you, anything like that, one line. or stunt coordinators on a daily, that's an 8-hour day, 11:58, with all the perks and bennies that come with that 11:58. Background actors make 208 to 218. That 218 number is when we ask you to do something special, right? So a special ability. Stand-ins and photo doubles make a little more. That 393 number is a little higher. If we ask our stand-in to also rehearse and do some kind of lines, then you get a little more. Singers and dancers also. As you move forward in singers and dancers, the more people you have, so like if you have a group of like 12, it's not gonna get paid as much as this 1254. That's the highest rate singers it goes. And I attached the rate sheet so y'all can look, because we go, I mean, even more specific, puppeteers, pilots, all of that, you can see the numbers there. And then I wanted to touch on what we're doing for training, because I was asked also. So thank you so much to Good Jobs, thanks.
What is
The
your
Good
extras
Jobs
get now?
folks.
What
Say
is
it again?
extras get now?
Sorry.
Other way.
There you go. That's background actors.
Background,
Not,
okay.
we prefer background actors.
Yep.
So background actors, that 208 is for an 8-hour day. And then 218 if you're special ability.
It's an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
Most of it's standing around.
Yes.
And waiting.
But you're not standing for 8 hours.
Oh, okay, well, and actually you don't stand, because that's
Right.
one of the things in our
Oh.
contracts, is that each person has to have a chair in a nice place to, covered with water and snacks.
Is that
So-
included breakfast and lunch?
Well, I have to admit
So
that I
the
was an
meal,
extra
you get a
on
break at
Wi-Fi
6,
going.
and if crew is eating, so if production's gonna provide meals to crew, they also have to provide the background. There have been some times where folks will give you like, here's $10, go get some lunch. But generally speaking, on a production, you wanna keep everyone on because,
Takes time to get
yeah,
them
you
back
don't want them to
together.
leave and come back, so then we'll feed you and we'll make sure you have snacks. Did you want me to go on or talk more about rates? So yes, this fee, depending on the contract you're on, producers will pay into your pension and health also on top of this. And what else can we say? Oh, and I have to note that scale is the very bottom. So this is the very bare minimum anyone's gonna make. If you've got, back to the day performers, if you're famous, you're not, or not famous, sorry. If you're a high profile celebrity, I'm trying to go fast and choose my words carefully. If that is the very bottom, there are some folks who, I'm thinking back in the 90s, a very famous model who very famously said, I won't get out of bed for under 10 grand or something like that. But this is the very bottom of what you're making. Hold on, make sure I'm going the right way.
Yep, that's the right way.
Okay. Training programs, we did one recently for background actors, with thanks to Good Jobs Hawai'i. We had 41 attendees for that, and it was an all-day where we walked you through the contract. And then also did a do's and don'ts, like how to not get fired kind of thing on a job.
When you guys post that, where is this?
Yeah.
People who-
So on our website, and then I also send out emails to all of my members, and then
Can
social
you
media.
send that to us too?
You wanna come and do
No,
that?
that way we can share it.
Constituents.
Yeah, that way we
She
can share
wants
it.
a tour of
Yes.
the wardrobe.
Yes,
wardrobe.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll make our own flyer.
I'll put you on the list.
No,
So
that way we can share them, because if you guys doing them like in Maui, we
Yeah.
can share them with them that, because a lot of them taking interest. And I never realized you guys even had the Pixar one, even in Lanai at the church, which is why I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, so there's jobs. We did scene studies, so this is folks who don't necessarily wanna do background work, but wanna do scene work. We had a scene study we had 2 in a row, 30 attendees, and then we did one for stunts also. So we're trying to hit and, cover all the performing categories here. We also do a lot of stuff through SAG-AFTRA Foundation. Now that's national and it's through Zoom, which is also great, but I find that locally, a lot of folks just wanna come into the office and read lines and do scenes together. And that's all I got.
So by reading the lines, they're just
Yeah.
reading the lines, they're not acting, they're just helping the person read the lines.
Yeah, if you're there for rehearsal, if you're rehearsing, you get a little bit more. You don't want to.
Come through.
Sorry, I have reading
We can do
problems.
stunts. We do a lot of stunts. We're experienced in
You guys
stunts.
never know, I started the new hand signals instead of sending.
Oh, and then I
That's
wanted
a
to answer
different
your
level of
question
thing.
too. Senator Favela asked about when do we find out when things come in if they call the union. Honestly, we haven't, just no one's ever, but luckily we have good relationships with Valea and Sandy and Lonnie and the state. For whenever we get a call, we'll call and say, hey, so-and-so, we heard a shooting, kind of coconut wireless
Yeah,
like.
the reason why I brought that up is because, I don't know if you guys know him, but his name is Mel Kahele, and I'm pretty close with him in my community. And he said back in the day, that was the communication with them, that they would get heads up or, they know ahead of time so that they can prepare. And that's the relationship that I want, make sure
Yeah.
the unions and the workforce have, so that we can continue to take care of our local members. Yeah. That's one of the main things for me.
I just want to answer for the IA. So that, I think that Mel Kahele used to be with the Teamsters, and the Teamsters have locations. So we can know as much as a year in advance when they start to scout. But and then they start to call our people, are you available for this time? And then we hear about rumors coming. And then we get the official, at least for our international, will send us the official document. So it can be as short as a couple weeks in advance that they're coming to do like just a gig on the beach. Or it can be up to a year in advance, especially if they're coming for ocean work. They'll want to know what
Oftentimes also that the department heads of any given show will do outreach organically, right? They will reach out to people they have worked with or have heard through tell of others that they've worked with. Hey, I heard you're the person to reach out to. Do you know if people are available right now? If not, how many can we? And then slowly but surely they will build on like an organic level. Luckily, we've built strong bridges with our counterparts on the continent, especially in Hollywood, New York, and Atlanta.
So I guess the confusing part is that they were saying that some of these productions that come and sign, this permitting thing you said, sometimes only reason why is because when I asked, was one of the actors, I don't want to say name, but anyway, I asked them and they said they're in negotiations for almost a year or two. So they're negotiating a contract, knowing that they're gonna do them, but they never finish them. Nobody knew. Nobody knows when they're come down to negotiate these contracts. Sometimes the industry, I'm not blaming anybody in DBED, but sometimes they know ahead of time, but nobody knows within here. So that's what I'm asking with, I talked to Georgia and I talked to the DBED chair standing over there. That's what I want. I want that relationship with the film industry. Soon as somebody taps on her door saying, hey, I'm gonna bring whoever will come over here. Once that starts, I give you guys an email saying, hey, we're gonna start negotiating with these guys. Not sure if they're coming, but here's the heads up. That's what I want from them. Not so much from you guys, but from them say, hey, this show might be coming. We never finalize things. As soon as we do, we'll give you guys advance notice. So you guys can prepare the local force, because when I have to help out to find locations for Magnum, right? Only the guys that was driving mostly, some of you guys was local, but man alive, how much guys came from the continent here? Because when I went, I got to eat with them. It was a good food.
That's a great segue as well.
It was good food, and I was sitting down with foreigners. Don't get me wrong, the actors was cool. I mean, I got to talk to actors, but majority of them wasn't local.
Of the folks that come to scout,
Yeah, and even for the food, they actually would fly in the whole.
The catering is not a
I
craft
know.
that we cover.
Okay, guys, wait, we gotta get through all these slides.
I'm sorry,
Let's get it back together.
Okay, sorry. Focus, people, focus.
Focus.
Sorry, I gotta
Our
focus.
ADD kicking in. Yeah, go ahead,
So this is just the work that occurred this past Tuesday. I reached out to some
Georgia.
the folks.
Oh, sorry, man.
I reached out to some folks
My
in
man
these
can do a
production
job.
companies to ask for some data, some of the normal dish show that they do.
Yes,
It's not
please.
mine to give, but based on the stuff that I've done. So we are IATC Local 665. We cover film and TV, but we also do a plethora more. And just to give you a quick idea of what it is that we do, this is from our 125th anniversary video. This is like the scope of all this stuff. Hopefully the sound works. I think it does.
It does.
We heard them earlier.
1 minute.
Huzzah.
Checking stage left
Oh,
monitors. Test
125
1 2.
years.
Test
That was 2018.
Convention lights up. 1 2. Conventionals are good.
Checking center stage monitors. Test
Props
1
ready?
2. Test
Props
1
preset.
2 1 2.
Wardrobe ready?
Scrollers
Wardrobe
up.
ready.
Scrollers are good.
Standby lights.
Bring
preset
number one to
1,
set,
sound
please.
Checking
2A,
moving
and
lights.
Checking
projections
stage
1.
Checking
right
Camera
monitor.
check
One,
4.
two.
Lights
Looking
Pictures
good.
up.
Lights
Checking
standby.
camera 5.
Sound preset.
Sound standing by.
Roll sound.
Front of house ready.
Turning over the
Standby
house.
9. Raise over
Okay,
headlights.
people,
Sleep.
this is your
Sound
place to
speeds.
call. Place
Opening
is at the
lights
top
up.
of the show.
Opening
And
house
we're
door.
live. in
Set.
3,
And
2.
action.
Right at it! He's made it again! What a throw! Touchdown!
So that's an overview of what it is that we do. Everything that you see in there that wasn't a performer or an audience member, that's us, right? Everything behind the scenes. So just so we're on the same page, I know that, I've been living and breathing this for 20-something years. I want to make sure that everybody knows the jargon that I'm throwing out. A crew list is what an employer or production company will put out the full-time crew members, right? This is at base, at minimum, the smallest it's going to be. It's so that everybody knows how to reach other people in every department, right? A call sheet is a distro that's given by the employer out to everyone, right? It's all the information you could possibly want to know about the day, whether there's hospital is, where catering's gonna be, where your crew parking is, the scenes you're gonna film today, special gear, effects, makeup, any of the stuff, along with all the people that are scheduled for that day. Craft is your job designation, right? So when I was in the field, people would ask me what craft was. I was a grip, and I was a rigger, and I also worked in props, I worked in a plethora of the job designations you're about to see. And then a local hire is a Hawaii resident, right? You'll see why I'm making that distinction in a little bit, because not every person that I'm about to count is a 665 member, but they're within the IATSE umbrella. And all of this information covered is specifically the work that was done this past Tuesday. We do not have the time this week to cover the work that's been done this month, right? So just to go over some real specifics, these are the crafts that we cover, right? And the range of pay depends on what you do. At base, the lowest rate of the crafts that you see here is $39.23 an hour. At minimum for a minimum 8-hour call. So even if you show up and do 10 minutes of work and they go, whoops, we overbooked, go home, you get 8 hours, right? The highest rate of pay is $96.40, and that's for costume supervisor, right? Realistically, the range of pay for the majority of folks that are out there is $45 to $65 an hour at base. Anybody can negotiate for higher rates. That is the contract established floor, right? Minimum 8-hour call. Everyone, I would guess though, that we're about to talk about worked at least a 12-hour day, because that's just the reality of what it looks like.
Way more than what's listed.
Way more than what's listed, but that's what's listed on our website as the main crafts that we cover. So there is a film in town called Bad Dog. It's the title I can use, Blue Koala Productions, Inc. On their crew list, there are 90 locals listed out of 113. That's 79.65% local hire list. This is across the board. Now you'll see the yellow that's over there, that doesn't fit on the screen. The yellow is the total number, not the out-of-state hires, right? The yellow is the total number of jobs versus blue, which are the Hawaii residents, right? We have significant parity. If you see any of them that match side by side, parallel, that is 100% staff local in that department. And this is just in the crew list. In actuality, on set on Tuesday, just looking at the call sheet, 101 of those 123 total jobs were local hires. Names that I recognize that are in our database, that's 82.11% local hire for Bad Dog Productions. Now for NCIS, a similar number of jobs, 106 local, but this is on the crew list, excuse me. 106 local residents are listed on the call sheet under the crafts that are in the IA family out of 123 total. This is an 86.18% local hire. You can see the metrics in the graph below. The reality though, on set, there are 135 total jobs, 117 of those are local, representing 86.67% local hire. Now, Rescue High Surf, I couldn't get a hold of the crew list, but I did get a hold of the 2 units they're filming simultaneously on Tuesday. Out of 87 total jobs, 82% are local on the land unit. That's 94.25% local hire. On the water unit, 100%. Now, water units are different and difficult because you can't ask the folks to swim around in the water with their tools out in the deep water, right? There's only so much space and only so much area that they can take up, but all 26 of them were local, right? Really quickly, oh, sorry.
And we have Brian Carolina on Zoom right now.
Brian Carolina was good.
Oh, is he local?
Yeah, I don't know. Brian, you there?
Yo, Brian,
We'll come back.
we'll come back.
So the water one, whatever, is that the lifeguard movie? I mean,
Yes,
so-
Rescue High Surf.
Yeah, okay, Rescue
Yeah.
High Surf.
And
Ones
that's,
that are in a warehouse.
Yeah.
yeah. So camera is not technically 665. They are represented by ICG 600, right? International Cinematographers Guild. They are within the IATSE family, right? But they are not 665 jurisdictions. Still, there's solid local representation in this department. Out of 44 total hires, 34 local hires, 77.27%. You can see the breakdown over here by show. And that's a much, like, they have way different rates than we do, than 665 does. They get paid well. And this is the overall graph of the overall hires on each one of the shows. Again, the yellow is not the number of out of state, it is the total, which represents total 665 hires working on Tuesdays, 326 locals out of 371 jobs, which is 87.87% local staff. And if you add in camera, then it's 360 out of 415 jobs, 86.75% local staff. Now, before I go into this next slide, if anyone has ever heard of the show Reacher,
Oh, yeah.
Reacher, yeah,
That's a
action
good
packed.
one.
It's a great show, right? Side note that, like, with book, comic book, and video game screenplay adaptations, right?
Right.
The further that we skew from the source material, the more likely it is that the original fan base will not support it and they'll downvote it into oblivion, right? They will not watch it, they'll show up and say, I can't believe this is nothing like the thing, right? But sometimes small deviations are allowed for, especially if you sell it well and you do it well enough. So this next clip is Alan Ritson, the lead actor on Cinema Blend, with a very succinct reason as to why there was a significant change in location.
The book takes place in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. I was curious, do you know why they switched it to the East Coast?
Tax credits and the currency exchange.
Okay, that's the best answer that I can.
Real answer, and people understand how the business works. It's currency exchange.
Yeah, no, I completely
Rebates out the wazoo in Toronto. You get an extra 5% if you're in Hamilton. It could be Berlin, and we're going to be shooting in Toronto. It could be the Sahara Desert. It could be a book about the Sahara Desert. We'll be in Hamilton making 5% credits.
That's when Cinema Blend, one of those, like entertainment, news companies. So it's very indicative as to why we lose out to international locations and to other locations with stronger film tax incentives. Quite literally, if it is the Sahara Desert, they would film it in Toronto because they get the tax credit, right?
Double whammy.
And because the currency exchange from here to Aotearoa or here to Australia, more bang for your buck, right? They pay the people less there than they do here. There aren't the similar union protections. There's not the contributions. By the way, all that rate of pay stuff I was talking about, nothing to do with how much the employer has to contribute on top of that to our health and welfare, to our pension, to our annuity, all of the things, right? But that's, in a nutshell, why it is so vital for our industry that a film tax incentive is strengthened. And that concludes my slides. Brian was good.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, Brian.
Sorry, good in the water, not on computers.
Yeah, are you out of the water and are you good? We have you for a few minutes. I know that we're running out of time, but I really wanted to speak to, this is the section where we talk about how important it has been for productions to be here, but it also helped grow our local creative content industry, which is something that DIVA is hyper-focused on. I'd like just to share briefly that on Hawaii Island, recently, the Creative Lab Music Immersive Wrapped, that provides opportunities and direct links to the industry that places music into film and television, video games, and commercials. So we booked about 600,000 for local residents who are composing in hotel rooms, recorded, and then they go into music libraries and they get selected for shows like Grey's Anatomy and others. So that's a really great component. But one of the other things that's really important is that a lot of our local filmmakers are really on the rise, and that's because of our collective, I think, belief that we need to rise up our own local talent. And while it's important to have jobs, it's equally as important to build those hopes and dreams from kids, which are already doing that in Waianae and other places. But wanted to share with you a little bit about a new organization and what's happening with ICANN, the International Cultural Arts Network, and one of the founders is Brian Kealaha. Take it away, Brian.
Thanks, Georgia. Hi, everyone. You know, I guess the whole thing with ICANN, how the thing started up is with me, Angela Pratt, and Robert Suka, working on Chief of War, you know, with Jason. And Jason making both me and Angie producers, because one of the things that we always see all the time is we also get, I don't know if we say pushed to the side, or we don't have that voice in that higher bracket, right? And Jason made us guys producers. So for us, it was all about how do we do things right, you know, inside of this production. And ICANN came from that because of frustration, really. You know, we had to go to New Zealand. It was the right thing to do at the right time because, you know, they couldn't afford to film the rest of the show in Hawaii. But what we learned there was through their, you know, culture and how they do things there in New Zealand, it is no different than who we are here in Hawaii. We have a strong culture of value. In fact, everyone that you see there sitting down is part of our filming family. And we're such a strong filming family and stuff. ICANN is there as a nonprofit and was created to try to elevate skill set. You know, why don't our local actors get positions like, you know, Mari actors, because they have the skill sets. So we flew in the top actors from New Zealand to help our actors here to a higher level, which was great. And Georgia helped us out with that also too. We get writers clinics, local writers that now doing all these writer rooms. We trying to create more, just like what TUI is doing also too, building our workforce development and looking at our infrastructure and where is our weakness is facilities to train. Georgia has helped us out, you know, with Sandbox. That's been a great place for us to kind of like extend and explore and create, you know, all, you know, we targeting Native Hawaiians, but we also looking into everyone else in the 808 also too. But anyway, it's a successful nonprofit, I think, that we moving forward right now and trying to employ more locals. You know, like right now working on High Surf Rescue with John Wells. And John Wells is great because he made me one of the producers, and we're hiring as much locals as possible. And then, of course, we're strong in the water, and that's what everybody come here in the world too. But it also takes us away from Hawaii because, you know, we're so strong. But, you know, we need more people like us. Or I directing right now also too in the water side. But, you know, I think our legacy is not about me. It's about us, right? How do we create more of that top tier keys in our industry? Because I can tell you straight off, what happens a lot of times is we do have people with the knowledge and skills, but not the opportunity. They bring the keys over and then they hire the people here and stuff too. And when you look at people's resumes, I get a big resume because I ended up working a lot in mainland in California. I had to make my name outside before I even came home. And that's the kind of the product, what happens right now in the whole film industry is in order to make it real big, sometimes you have to move away. But with the support of the state and everyone else, we can change that mindset. We can change everything around. So I think for us in ICANN, we just keep moving forward and just asking for everybody's support.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
I have one more clip that I'd like to show. I'm just sharing this pathway. This kind of summarizes what you're saying. And if you look at the top part, all those organizations on the right, top right, including ICANN, Hawaii Filmmakers Collective, Hawaii Women in Filmmaking, High Film with HIP, OHINA, Pacific Islanders, and then our partnerships with Creative Lab and Producers Guild and Writers Guild. All of these programs together offer the alternative pathway. And that's where we're going to be investing our money and our energy to continue doing things with ICANN and these organizations that we've helped to support financially over the years. And just wanted to...
Growing up in Hawaii, never had the right community
the results of ICANN.
to thrive, to grow, to pursue this thing called acting. Now we have a place to be, a place to look forward to being at in ICANN.
ICANN was started earlier this year. It stands for International Cultural Arts Network. Keyword for us is elevate.
With our instructors, with our coaches, teaching them our own experiences within the industry.
When somebody through that door and goes, I want to do this, I'm like, yes.
Over these few workshops, I've definitely seen everyone's growth. The thing that stands out to me most is self-confidence.
I can look back and be like, this was a pivotal moment. This was a time that really enriched my acting career.
The culture of what ICANN is not about ownership, it's about stewardship. How can we be better stewards of each other? How can we be better neighbors? How can we be better brothers and sisters? It's about us, all of us together.
There's a lot of connections, the great people, their love of story and their love of Hawaii.
Everything that you need to be, that you need to have as an actor, you already have.
I see hope. Like I see potential.
For the community that has made this happen, mahalo, 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 mahalo. We could not do that without you guys.
Together, let's get this done.
I can. We can.
A lot of community support as well. Work hard. And the results will really, will show as more and more actors, together with SAG-AFTRA's work in these community organizations, doing that work parallel to all of us. So we're proud of the work, and there's a lot more to be done. And that is the ecosystem of Hawaii's film and media industries.
Thank you. And I know we gotta be out of here by 3 o'clock.
I know.
Brian, thank you for joining us. I know you've been really busy. Shed a lot of light on the situation and the reasons why we try to move the state in a direction that we can bring many of our people that have left for the industry back home. And as we look to seal those empty spots to continue the pathway forward, I think this is a huge step in the right direction. And we'll do whatever we can at this point to try and see funding mechanisms, tax credits, and caps as well. So I appreciate you being here today very much, and all of you for that matter. You guys shed a lot of light. It's a lot of information to take on. Georgia, thank you for the presentation, Director.
Sure.
I know that we've had a lot of questions for you, and the problems that we've had, I think, has been super addressed here. Senator Fukunaga has been a huge fan of the Sea Rider production. even at the county council level. I know she's been really strong in the film industry. You know me, I like to see sheltered, isolated as much as I can.
Quiet.
Quiet, you know, because you make enough noise for all of us. But, you know, I think it's a great industry. I think it's huge for our next generation to get involved. I had the opportunity to also be down in New Zealand and jump on set and see really, I mean, to have most of our residents go there. I think it's here that we market, here that we showcase. And as we film here and have our residents be involved, I really have yet to put a price on the marketing of this industry itself. And I think that's huge for me is what is the price of the film industry that markets via the film industry, And I think that's where a lot of us have missed the boat. Again, I'm new to it myself, which is why I try to shelter certain areas that I don't want to be filmed and exposed as well for protection of those areas. But again, you know, I'm sitting in Vienna and, you know, we're moving with a group of 5 people and they're like, hey, there's the people from Hawaii, 50, and we're like, you know, so I know that this triggers much of our marketing, which I believe funds in the area when we talk about drawing tourism, that this industry has been huge on the drawing of tourism. Our conversations that we've had as we travel, people will say, hey, you know, I've watched 50, I've watched Aquaman, I want to go to Hawaii. So I know that piece is missing when we send our message back to our colleagues and say, really, what is the industry and what is the rate of return? And that rate of return needs to be put forward. And I wait for Eugene to work on that as we've had this conversation, and I know he will bring that to light. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of EET committee, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Georgia, huge work on the slides.
Chair, if I can, so, you know, I shared with Senator DeCoit, and I know we all had, we had to remove some of the stuff from the AG, the language. I've been working with the AG. I've been talking to some of you guys here. Today I learned a lot about you guys' union. We thank you guys for doing that and really appreciate that. So I get some talking points. I wanted to do an ST1 from the Senate. I showed Senator DeCoy. So just let me read what they just was written out to me. I would like to thank, of course, Senator DeCoy to encouraging us to work on the language of supporting the Native Hawaiian content. AG's office worked with us in coming up with a Native Hawaiian cultural community grant program instead, okay? So this would be a grant program that will intensify media project uplifting uniqueness of Native Hawaiian cultures and the world. To let us browse like how New Zealand encouraged the film industry to keep Hawaii's identity. That's what we want. We want to keep Hawaii's identity. So we need everyone's support if it does go through, and where I'm considered to put this language in, which I pray for a Senate Bill 3265 with the ST1. And again, I want to thank Senator DeCoy because she worked hard. And you know the thing is, she's my neighbor, so even harder, yeah? She cannot get away from me when it comes to this. And all of you guys, including you, Director, you guys did a real good job. So again, Senator DeCoy, we tried to increase the film tax credit 60 million and the Creative Film Industry Advisory Council. But now, including the missing pieces of the Native Hawaiian culture community grants. That's why I wanted to even bring it up more, because Brian was talking about them. But to encourage our film industry, more highlighting beautiful locations, and we need to just make sure that we protect our people. And we couldn't do them in the other way because of how the AG would explain it. So you know me, I cannot take no for an answer. So I asked her to come in, and I will tell you right now, she's solid. She went back and she worked on it, and I was sharing with Senator DeCoy and Senator Taylor Cruz, but they're real busy. That's why I was happy at the end of the thing. She said, oh, because see, we can change them before the next committee. I never say it's changed, but this is the talking points that hopefully and pray that we can insert that in the bill in WAM. So that's what I was working with the AG. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And again, thank you guys. Thank you for all of you guys for just doing this for our people. I'm so proud to be a part of this, seriously.
Thank you, Senator Favela. Senator Fukuna, if you'd like to say a few words.
No, I just think that, you know, the return on investment, which Director Tokioka is going to be a key figure in helping us develop, you know, really, whenever you go anywhere, when you're from Hawaii, they know about Hawaii from the movies. So, yeah, it's awesome. Good job.
Chair, can I,
Sure,
quick
Director,
thought,
all you.
or one quick comment. Like I said earlier, we heard the concerns from last year, and it's a total turnaround, and I think we can feel it from you folks, and you can thank the team in the back of us. But I really want to thank, I really want to thank Georgia, because when Deputy Director Wicker and I went in, it was not easy, and she could have said, "What do you guys know about what we do?" But she didn't, and she was very receptive. She knew that we had to make changes, and she did a great job, as you can see from her and her team. So thank you, Georgia.
Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
She not once was there any resistance to anything we wanted to do. So
Right.
thank you.
Yeah.
Again, thank you all of you. And of course, Deputy, he's been going back and forth. There's been many hands involved in this. And I can tell you, I've seen a huge change from last year. I think the communication for us is like key. The questions that need to be asked have to be asked and then answered, and if not, then why? And if not this, then what? So I think, we're moving in the right direction, and as long as we continue to move forward, I think there's a lot of things that can happen for us. So I want to thank all of you guys for being here, and my staff. I've been driving them crazy too.
Yeah, thank you, staff.
So with that, this briefing is adjourned. Thank you and mahalo.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.